Randy, back over to you with questions over at Swan Financial. Jim is buying his first home. He has a lot of questions about the process. His big concern, he writes in this email, is if mortgage rates, he gets to the closing table, he buys, and he doesn't like the terms of the loan. Can he choose not to sign at the closing table? Lee, you may want to jump in on this as well. Randy.
Yes, you can. Obviously, there's ramifications with the person selling the house if you didn't close, but yes, you can absolutely not sign the documents if you do not want to.
And Lee, what are those ramifications? If you're sitting at the closing table and all of a sudden you say, I don't like what this says in the mortgage, and you start to walk away, what can the buyer do to you? I'm sorry, the seller do, because you're breaking the contract?
Well, certainly it's on the buyer to, obtain the money to come to closing at a certain time per the contract. So if it's a matter of maybe they didn't do their due diligence or look over their paperwork beforehand, or even when they were applying for the loan, then they could be in breach, especially at the time when they're at the closing table. So the seller could have damages such as they're already maybe moved, they got another place they got to buy in an hour, and they might be defaulting on that contract. Everything is kind of a train that goes down, a lot of cogs of that wheel that could stop if one person doesn't close. So there could be damages as far as, if they aren't able to sell their house for as much. There could be real estate commissions. There's a lot of damages that can happen to a buyer if they default on a contract. So I guess that's a cautionary tale to look at your paperwork well before closing to make sure you're happy with your terms.
And back to you, Randy, that paperwork is provided well in advance of the closing?
Yes, the CD is well in advance. It's 3 days before you have to sign the initial CD, which is not usually the final closing disclosure, but you have plenty of time to look at it if you have the proper lender you're working with.
Which in our case, we would suggest Swan be the lender that you're working with. By the way, if you want to see rebroadcast of the show, go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's a rebroadcast, takes you to our YouTube channel, LouisvilleAnswers.com. And also, if you want to see what sellers are saying about us, the Sokoler team, I've got a lot of interviews, more than 100 interviews with past sellers. You can see them and listen to them at LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. That's LouisvilleSellersTalk.com.